TronPad is set to do another 400% spike. And I'm going to show you why. You may get one more crack at the cherry, because if you saw my last video on the 4th of October, we said it's likely that TronPad is going to go below 5 cents. Might be a great buying opportunity if you're looking to get your membership or upgrade your membership. And now, not only has the price hit that point, it's now spiked up, but I'm going to now show you why it's likely we're going to see an overall 400% increase in the coming weeks and months with TronPad. But before it does, you may get one more bite at the cherry. If you like today's video, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jagir. I'm the award-winning author of The Extraordinary New Venture Capital Opportunity, How to Invest Like a Pro. Been featured in the best-selling High Probability Trading Strategies book back in 2008, all about Elliott Wave and Fibonacci, high level. But today, I only focus on crypto. So let's dive straight in. So I thought it'd be good to continue in the spirit of doing it as a little pitch deck or a slide deck, because it kind of makes it easier for me to show you a few things. So first of all, right, we did a video on because we're going to cover a few things today. I'm going to give you a couple of key lessons in Elliott Wave and Fibonacci. But first of all, I think it was the 4th of October, we did this video, right? We said, look, Trump had the psychology of buying and selling. We need to be aware of that. We also took into account some tokenomics. There was a vesting schedule, unlock date, fast approaching, and it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 textbook Elliott Wave. And we was at this, what we was calling an A, B, and at this zone. And there was a token unlock date at this date. And we said we're probably going to see a nice price dump. Why? Because early investors that got into the IDO in June, I think it was June, July, they have been holding on to those tokens, and then they get a whole bunch unlocked, and a lot of them tend to sell, take a profit. That's, a lot of this is just taking profits, right? So we said anticipate this. And if you want to upgrade your membership or buy your first TronPad membership, because the launch pads are very lucrative. Like if you think of ValisPad that launched on TronPad and a few of the other launch pads, it did well over 100x. And we've got PostPad coming up, or is Post-Chain Pad coming up. It hasn't been announced yet, but to get top tier allocation, you need to have a top tier membership. What happened? Look at this. Look at this textbook. It reached bang on that price zone. Textbook A, B, C correction. If we just kind of jump back and forth, look, this is what we said in advance. What most people don't understand, and I want you to understand this, is Elliott Wave and Fibonacci. It's not guarantee what the price is going to do, because we're in a probability game, not a certainty game. But it's highly probable, especially when there's a few things saying and suggesting the same thing. And that's why we did this video. We said, look, it's an urgent, what do I call it? Urgent, a big opportunity for a massive discount on your TronPad and ETHPad membership. Now, ETHPad didn't drop so much, and there weren't that cleaner technicals with ETHPad. But with TronPad, it's been around much longer. The tokenomics is a bit more friendly. There's no real punishment for selling TronPad other than you have to stake for 7 days, but very, very clean. So if you want to learn how to do Elliott Wave and Fibonacci, well, before you go on to take my free Elliott Wave and Fibonacci masterclass, I'm going to give you a lesson today. Today, we're going to jump in, because today there's a particular pattern unfolding in this part of the market with TronPad, where you might get a second bite at the cherry. It won't be as good as down here, likely, but there is a particular pattern that may unfold. And if that does unfold, you want to be very, very aware of it. But if you don't get, and you haven't taken my free Elliott Wave and Fibonacci masterclass, you don't understand Elliott Wave, it's hard to take the action. So, because I saw some of your comments, you said, yeah, man, I wish I'd listened to you more. It did drop down, as you said. It went down to 0.042. That was the low. So even if you got around the 5 cents, that's a really healthy price for TronPad, especially with projects like TronPad, PostPad going to launch very, very soon. It hasn't been announced, but it's going to be more than likely in the next 2 weeks. You're probably going to get a lot of allocation. So what I wanted to do today, before we go into the 400%, why is TronPad set to do a 400% high probability? I wanted to just do a quick loop over Elliott Wave, just the core basics. So you have this fundamental understanding, because you may not have time to do the masterclass, which is free. It's in the link below. So Elliott Wave basics, right? This is what I want you to know with Elliott Wave basics. So I just move myself a bit to the right. Most trends unfold in 5 waves in the direction of the trend. So what we're looking for is identifiable patterns that give us valuable information that's telling us the psychology of the market. How is the market feeling right now as a mass herd psychology based on fear and greed? And typically, more often than not, the market moves in this 5-wave sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what we're looking for. And we saw that with TronPad, this nice 5-wave sequence. And then after a 5-wave sequence, what we typically expect, this is just the way psychology is, this is the way mass herd is, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's Ethereum, or whether it's TronPad, it tends to unfold more often than not, a nice A, B, C correction, right? A, B, C. And when we see these kind of patterns unfold, especially when we see the patterns unfold and we're at this region, because with TronPad, we was at this region when we said we're likely to see the drop, not only because of the vesting schedule, but also because of the technicals, the psychology of buying and selling, the way people tend to take profits time and time again, whether it's institutional or whether it's retail investors, it doesn't matter. The psychology is the psychology, and it applies on all levels. Markets usually unfold in 5s and 3s, so 5 waves up and then 3 waves down, typically as an ABC. So 5-wave patterns are impulsive, so this part is impulsive. So we're looking for these structures. Are they, this wave 4 is not overlapping into the wave 1. That's impulsive. Whereas 3-wave patterns are corrective, where they tend to be more overlapping waves. So look at TronPad. Look at TronPad. This is what we saw. This is what's happened, right? Look at this. This is the textbook theory. Even if I just move myself a bit more to the left so you can see it from the beginning. Textbook theory, right? This is the patterns, whether it's stocks, whether it's forex, whether it's commodities, or whether it's crypto. It tends to unfold where there's volume, where there's mass psychology. And look at this. I'm just going to kind of go back and forth. You see the one? Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to cover sub-degree counts in the next slide. And then just look at this A, B, C correction. Now, today I'm not going to cover the details of Fibonacci ratios, but if you want to learn them, they're in my free Elliott Wave and Fibonacci masterclass. And I cover some of the key measures like the Fibonacci ratios, which kind of unfold time and time again, where you can project in advance best profit-taking zones, best buying zones to minimize your risk and maximize your upside. But a reminder, we are in a probability game, not a certainty game. So we're just looking for the edge, like a casino. We're looking to get the edge in our favor and act with that edge consistently over and over and over again. So you make sense? You've seen the pattern? Right, I'm gonna do one more time. Boom, here's the theory. Look, TronPad, just textbook. Look how beautiful this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then textbook A, B, C. Like, come on, it doesn't get much better than that. So now what I wanted to cover with you, which most people don't realize, I know the top part of this slide might have been slightly cut off, but what it says is Elliott Wave guidelines, rules and guidelines, right? We need rules and guidelines. Now, I didn't create Elliott Waves. Ralph Nelson Elliott created the Elliott Wave theory back in the mid-1800s and early 1900s, and he figured this stuff out. And it's just over time, just innovated and evolved. And just that these patterns tend to unfold time and time again. So what are the rules and guidelines? Well, first of all, this is important, so important, right? Because I read every one of your comments, and I aim to respond to every single one of your comments. If I don't respond to your comments, probably because YouTube has banned or removed your comment for some reason. Sometimes the word it doesn't like, it just automatically removes it. But other than that, I tend to respond to every single comment. Markets only exhibit, so all cryptocurrency, let's just focus on crypto. Markets, meaning all cryptocurrencies, only exhibit a useful Elliott Wave pattern about 50% of the time. So when we were looking at ETHPad on the 4th of October, there weren't really any clear patterns. If you look at the chart, if you look at the video, we even said it's no real clear pattern. Whereas TronPad was as clear as it gets. It was textbook ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So not all charts are going to have an Elliott Wave count. The psychology means it's just misbehaving, or it's not. We can't. There's no useful information to us, so we don't force the count. Right, that's important. So this is the typical, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC. That's what we're looking for. There will be times where there is no clear pattern, so do not force the wave count. That is not there, right? So if it's not there, it's not there. If it's not relatively obvious, it's probably not there. So you got to be careful that you don't force a wave count that's not there. I see people do it all the time, and it bothers me because sometimes as YouTubers, they're forcing a wave count. Like, there is no wave count. So if it's not there, it's not there, right? Each wave is part of a larger degree wave pattern. So what I'm saying here is you've got this nice structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it tends to be a 5 of a bigger degree wave. So in this case, we're saying it's a 5 of a 1. And then this A, B, C correction is of a part of a bigger degree wave of a wave 2, right? And I'm going to use this information. I'm showing you this deliberately because we're going to show you in TronPad this exact pattern setup, why it's likely to explode into doing a 400%. But if you're looking to get like maximum allocation for postpad, I can't remember if it's postpad or post chain pad. It's for the post chain, the launch pad for the post chain network by Richard Hart. If you're looking to get that, is now the right time to buy, or is there going to be a better time? We're going to use this theory and to see how it's actually applying real life data. And we're going to have a look. It doesn't mean it's going to be guaranteed, but it tends to be unfolding very, very nicely. Each wave is also part of a lesser degree wave pattern. What you get? All right, this is quite advanced, and I covered this in my detailed courses. By the way, I know you can't see it on my screen because I've cut off the top. Over here it says 5/1. There's a blue 5 and there's a green 1. The same way there's a 2 here. It says 5/1. Now this wave 1 tends to break down into 5 waves. So I've drawn it out for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And then this wave 2 tends to break down into 3 waves, A, B, C. This wave 3 tends to break down to 5 waves. This is like, these are 3 degrees of counts. It's a wave 5 of a wave 3 of a wave 1. So these are the typical patterns because Elliott waves actually apply to all markets and all time frames. And you'll see these patterns. And we're going to use this information in a second, right? But what I want to emphasize here with this part, this wave 5, I don't know, you might not be able to see it. Yeah, you might not be able to see it. I might just zoom out for a second, in a second. This part here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, of a wave 5, of a wave 1. That's what we're counting here. Look at TronPad. This is the last part of the wave count of TronPad. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of a wave 1 up here, right? So this is what I'm trying to show you, always trying to show you. All of my students in my private Telegram group, I've taken my courses and we break this down. In my free Elliott Wave and Fibonacci masterclass, I also break this down. But then there's courses which are going at a massive discount right now, where I do it in 5-minute bite-sized lessons, which just shows this. Because what I've realized, better than Forex, better than stocks, better than commodities, crypto, because it's such an infant young market, the psychology tends to show even better than any other market. Let me just, yeah, I think this is fine. This is fine. I'm just going to finish up here. So when you do my masterclass, I have an Elliott Wave and Fibonacci price course. So Elliott Wave pattern, all the basics and foundation and the advanced, and then the Fibonacci price. How do you apply Fibonacci price combined with Elliott Wave patterns? But take the free masterclass. It's in the link below. But what I want to show you today, because today was about TronPad is likely to do a 400%. This is not hype. This is just objective, non-emotional information. Yeah, and that's important because I know there's a lot of hype in this space, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and FOMO, and so on and so forth. So with Tron, what we're going to do, we're going to look at TronPad. We're going to go into a live chart in a second. And why do I say 400% based on objective information? So let's jump out of this over here. I'm going to pull up a live chart. So now we're in TronPad. Let me just move myself over here again. This is the TronPad chart. Right, live data as of the 17th of October, 11:30 a.m. Right, this is the date that I'm doing this. We got this nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a sub-degree count of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've had this beautiful textbook A, B, C at a particular price ratio. This is very, very important because when you get a combination of pattern and price, it makes it more highly probable that it's going to do a reversal. And we had this momentum down here. I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can see it. Let me just zoom in like this. Let me do this here. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, you should be able to see it. Down here, we had this momentum reversal where the blue line goes over the red. So then you got pattern, price, and momentum telling us the same thing. So in my last video on TronPad, I said, guys, I did the video around here. And I said, it's likely we're going to see this drop down here. And it did. Didn't mean it's going to happen. It's likely. And then you could have had a nice buying opportunity. But now we've had this nice move up. What is this? What's likely to happen next? And is there another good buying opportunity? So we're going to do 2 things to finish on today's video. One, we can just zoom out and do a macro picture because you can say, Jigay, you said 400%. Why and what? How does that work out? And then 2, we're going to zoom back in. I tell a lie. We can do it the other way. We're going to zoom in first. I'm going to tell you what's likely to happen next. And then we're going to zoom out on what's likely to happen after that because that actually makes a bit more sense. Thinking about it on the spot. So we're going to zoom in over here. Right? We're going to zoom in over here. I'm going to look at this price action. Right? There's a few key pieces of information straight away that we should be paying special attention to. First of all, the momentum, the blue line, is still over the red, but it's in this overbought zone, meaning we should see sideways to down over the next few days, right? That's important. Next, we want to be very aware that we've got this textbook, almost identical to the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave structure, right? When you see these 5-wave structures, you should anticipate a 3-wave correction, right? And that's what we're going to look at. Is there another buying opportunity before TronPad explodes? And now that we know that PostPad is around the corner, as soon as that date gets announced, as soon as AdaPad was announced, the date, everything went up, right? Everything went up. TronPad shot through the roof, BSE pad shot through the roof, ETH pad, KCC pad, all the prices shot through the roof because people wanted to get maximum allocation in AdaPad. Well, PostPad is going to be very similar to AdaPad. So we've got this 5-wave structure. I'm going to do a bit of Fibonacci. If you're not used to it, take my free Elliott Wave and Fibonacci masterclass. I covered the how, but the key metric here is a typical wave 5 high is 100% of wave 1 to 3. Don't worry about that jargon. I cover it in the lessons and in my courses. But the key metric is this is a typical maximum zone of a wave 5 high. And we can see this red line up here. We can see that the market has gone above it, which means it's overextended. So we should anticipate a correction. But what other information do we have? Well, again, we've got this momentum indicator that said it's overbought. We should expect sideways to down. So now we've got pattern, we've got price, and we've got momentum. We could break it down more, but we don't need to, not for today's video. So what we're going to do next is, okay, after a 5-wave sequence, what should we anticipate? We should always anticipate a 3-wave correction. Where's the typical zones for those 3 waves? Let's just get rid of this. Well, more often than not, we should get a minimum. And again, we're going with probabilities, not certainties. So you can just set a price alert. If this occurs, then you can take your action, your relevant action. I'm just going to draw this up like this. 3 typical correction zones is 50% to 78.6%. And the price range is 6.7 cents, so 0.067, and as low as 0.057. That tends to be the typical range. As the pattern unfolds, we can get a bit more precise. But right now, we can say we're likely, not guaranteed, but we're likely to see the price go into this rough zone, give or take, around this zone here. I would say the middle one. Yeah. So if price goes to around 0.06, thereabouts, that might be a good second chance buying opportunity. I know it's not as good as 0.042, but hey, man, that's just it is where it is, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Now what we're going to do is we're going to finish up on the macro. Because you said, yeah, you said 400%. Where'd you get that number from? All right. Well, if you remember in the lesson, we covered it, which was there's a larger degree count and a lesser degree count. So what I'm going to do here is make this really clear for you. This is important. This is high-level stuff. But you'll find this applies to Kusama, to Polkadot, to Uniswap, to TKB, to Trias, to all the tokens that we've been covering. These patterns tend to unfold. XRP, it tends to unfold, but also the younger projects. We've got this move to the upside. With a larger degree count, well, it's the first real wave, right? Because overall, TronPad hasn't been doing that well since its launch as a token, considering that it did a 250x. But we've got a wave 5 over 5 over 1. That's what we're saying. That's the larger degree count. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, what's the larger degree count down here? Well, it looks like it's a wave 2. Put a question mark because the wave 2 is officially not confirmed until the next high. So we've got this down movement. I'm doing it like this because I want to make sure you're really clear. ABC of a wave 2. That's what it looks like. But it's only when this high over here gets exceeded, that this wave 2 is officially confirmed. But because this wave B high has been exceeded, that's the first real clue that we're likely that this wave 2 low is going to hold. And then we can take some fundamentals into account, like, the next launch of PostPad. That's coming very, very soon. They haven't announced the official date. So let's now look at the macro picture of the next wave. Well, what's going to come likely? Let's get rid of these lines because these are just a distraction right now. What's on a macro picture? What's likely to come after a wave 2? Well, you guessed it, right? You got it. It's a wave 3, right? And then the big question is, well, what's the typical 2 price zones for a typical wave 3? Well, most typical wave 3, the minimum tends to be 1.618 of this wave 1. We measure the wave 1, project it from this wave 2. and it goes boom. That's the typical wave zone or the price zone target for a wave 3. And then an overextended wave 3, which is more often than not what happens in crypto, is 2.618. And the price zone of that is just under 25 cents. That's what I'm referring to as the 400%. Why? Because we're likely to get a pullback to just around the 5-6 cents mark, and then let's just say 0.06 to get to 25 cents is just over 4x, right? 4x. So TronPad is likely to do a 4x as an underlying token. Now we're also entering into this optimism part of the market where Bitcoin is likely to make all-time new highs. Ethereum is likely to make all-time new highs. All these positive things are going to be happening. We're going to have probably a 3 to 6 month window, more probably closer to 3 months. There's going to be mania buying. So then all of a sudden, everything is lining up for new IDOs to be performing incredibly well. Every IDO to be performing incredibly well because of FOMO. That means the demand for the TronPad token, the cycle's now changing. Now this wave 3 is going to go, if it unfolds like this, then there'll probably be a profit-taking wave, which is wave 4, and then there'll be a continuation after that. That's what I'm anticipating with TronPad. So today is really about, if you are looking to maximize your TronPad membership, if you've got the lowest tier and you want to get the middle tier, if you've got the middle tier, you want to get the top tier, you can do the math on what's required, but anticipate you may, and the key word is may, it's not guaranteed, not in a certainty game, but in a probability game. You may get a second bite at the cherry. The first bite was down here, which we did the video on the 4th of October. The next bite is here. We may anticipate a pullback because naturally people tend to take profits. It's just the way psychology is, buying and selling psychology behavior. Bang, down here, and then your underlying token should do really, really well, but then also you'll get more access and more allocation to your IDOs. Let's finish up let's actually just dive into TronPad website, because you can independently do technical analysis irrelevant of if I hope if I type it incorrectly, irrelevant of the fundamentals, but sometimes it helps knowing that there's a token unlock date, there's a new project. So TronPad today is 0.078. I just want to go to their website. If you look at their projects, when we did the 4th of October video, there was no projects on the upcoming list. Right now, they've got PostPad, right? PostPad is on the upcoming list. I don't believe a date has been announced. I think it's going to be maybe 5 to 7 days. Today's the 17th of October before they announce a date. But as soon as a date is announced, that's when people stop waiting and then start buying. That's what happened with AdaPad. If you look what happened with AdaPad, the date that was announced, we can actually look at it with the chart actually. AdaPad was announced roughly around here. And then we had this surge of buying, right? Surge of buying up until was it here? I think it was down here. It was somewhere here, but there was a surge of buying. Now, just because the overall market is moving to because the market is always contracting and expanding, and it's moving into this expanding zone where new money's coming in, and people have seen a lot of positive things happen. We're probably going to see this happen here. Whew, we covered a lot today. So if you haven't already, take my free Elliott Wave and Fibonacci masterclass. I gave you a bit of a taster of Elliott Wave, how powerful it can be, because what we're looking for is non-emotional, objective, mechanical information that allows us to make really good business decisions when it comes to buying and selling. Whether you're doing a launchpad strategy, whether it's just buying tokens on the open market, or if it's another strategy, just use the information to help you. Right, let's finish today on a quote. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Channel is growing, so I appreciate having you here. Let's go. All right, I'm going to keep to this one. It's Confucius today. Confucius says, "It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop." Right? There's something called flow. I don't know if you've heard of flow. It was the secret to happiness, right? There was a study that actually figured out the secret to happiness. And the flow study said, to get into flow where you're paying so much attention that you don't realize you're paying attention, you're so drawn into the activity itself, you're just in the moment. And that's actually the same as happiness. If you figure out things that make you happy, you'll probably coincide is it gets you into the flow. But there's a secret scientific formula to flow, and it coincides with the quote, is if the task at hand that you're taking on, whether it's crypto, whether it's using decentralized exchanges for the first time, whether it's launch pads, whether it's Elliott wave theory and learning Elliott wave theory, if the task at hand is too high, like too above your current level, it causes stress and anxiety. So it's too hard. And if it's too low, as in it's too easy, it causes boredom. So the secret number was to find your level, which is a bit subjective, but find your level, and you want to go 1 to 4% above your current level. Yeah, 1 to 4% is challenging enough, which is not overly stressful, and it's above your level, so it doesn't create boredom. So wherever you are right now, everything is difficult before it's easy, whether it's Elliott wave, Fibonacci, whether it's using MetaMask, DEXs, using, I don't know, bridging, cross bridging. You see my last few videos on cross chain bridges. And, even when I did it for the first time, it was a pain in the what. Know your level, and it's okay for something to be stressful, but then to kind of, what's the next step that you can break it down? So let me just read that quote again, because it's, because words are just words, but if it's practical, then it can make a difference. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. So just try and go 1 to 4% above your level. So sometimes you may see me do Elliott waves and you go, Jesus, that's just insane, complicated, and everything else. You go, hey, just take the masterclass and just learn how to do Elliott wave counts, like on 1 degree. Once you got that, then the next 1 to 4% above is 2 degrees. And then after that is some nuances in the patterns, and you can learn that. And then once you got the Elliott wave part really kind of, you're feeling good with it, then you can do Fibonacci price. And then you can kind of just take one step at a time. So you always want to be progressing, because blockchain is here to stay. Crypto is here to stay. It is the future. It's like 95, 98 when the internet was first kind of getting traction. And it was only in 2006 where broadband took on mass adoption, where 50% of the US population started to have broadband. And then Netflix went from DVDs through the letterbox to online streaming. And now everything in the world is internet, right? But you're looking at this through the internet. Blockchain is going to be the same. Right now, it's difficult. Mass adoption has not occurred. It's probably going to be 5 to 10 years before that occurs. But now you're very early. So that's a really good thing. So there's a lot of opportunities. I'm just encouraging you to keep learning one step at a time for this bull run. But even when the bull run is over, and it might be 2, 3, 4 years before the next one, whether that occurs or not, who knows, but it's likely, then you can just keep sharpening your axe. But this technology is here to stay. All right, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll see you very soon.